Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a 3-game slate here on Tuesday night in the NBA. A couple fun games to talk about, though. So at least we have a couple fun game videos for you and our player props that we're bringing you each and every weekday of this regular season. So like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com. We've got our great written content up there. Nate puts the picks up there as well, including those player props, as well as where we have our odds finder tool. You can go ahead and use that to make sure you're shopping those lines to the best of your ability. Get that juice back on all those NBA bets you're making this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into those 3 lines and then talk about our game here, Denver hosting the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, it starts with the other game we break down. Lakers are +5 at Cleveland, totals 224. And the Lakers probably deserve to be favored at this point. They're looking like a contender again, so that is what we think in that other video. Then we got the Detroit Pistons +8.5 at Miami, which is on a back-to-back, which is extremely inconsistent, and thankfully we don't have to try to guess which way that one goes. The Mavs now are +4. It's fluctuating a little bit around +4.5. And the total is 223 out in Denver. Dallas is on a back-to-back here. They just blew out the Suns, and now it's kind of an emotional letdown spot because the Mavs and the Suns absolutely hate each other. They had that crazy back-and-forth game in the opener this year, and we talked about the player props in that game yesterday, and I should have just been like, expect the unexpected. Like, something's going to go crazy here. And sure enough, yeah, Dallas hit just like every 3 they took, pulled away early. So Luka only had to play 29 minutes, still had a ridiculous line. And now you get Dallas on short rest and on the road, 2 spots they've just been horrible at lately. They are an NBA worst 0-3-1 against the spread this season on back-to-backs, failing to cover by 8 points per game. They are 2-8 straight up on the road this year. Since last season, they are 10-24 straight up as road dogs, losing by 6 points per game. In their last 5 road games, they have a 118 defensive rating, lost 4 or 5 of those. And they're at Denver, which is, a marked home court advantage. Strangely enough, these teams have met 4 straight times in Dallas, just kind of the way the schedule stacked end of the season last year. And then 2 November meetings this year where Joker and Aaron Gordon were unable to play. And still, after the Mavs had that kind of spike game we saw last night where their threes are falling, where everything's working, and they won by 28, the Nuggets come back the next night and just grind out a win without Joker, with DeAndre Jordan playing significant minutes, which if there's anything you can overcome, it's maybe the worst center in the NBA playing significant minutes, and the Nuggies still won that one. So they're great at home, 6-2 as home favorites this year, winning by 11 points per game. And they're 3-2 against the spread with a rest advantage here. Really, I'm just looking at what they're able to do at home, limiting number 2 3-point defense. That's what you start with right now. Dallas shoots the second highest percentage of their points from 3. Field goals from 3, scores a high percentage of points when they're hitting. When they're not hitting, that offense really grinds to a halt. And Denver's just so much better at home. We saw this last season, too. They're 4th in points allowed at home versus 23rd on the road. 8th in defense efficiency at home, 29th on the road. The things they are giving up, second chance points, fast break points, Dallas is like allergic to those. Josh often says that they feel like they cannot run a fast break. It is not allowed in the NBA, and especially on a back-to-back when you just have to preserve Luka, all the energy you can for him. They're definitely going to be walking the ball up here. I would definitely lean under more than over when considering that. And then you just look at what Dallas does, like if the 3-point shot is not falling, where do they turn for offense? Because they have the second fewest paint points on the road, 3rd fewest overall in their last 3 games. Christian Wood has turned into kind of a 3-point wait in the corner 3-point specialist, and he was hitting in his first matchup with the Nuggets, had 28 points, and then they quickly figured out that he's kind of being a one-trick pony in this offense, and they held him to 5 points in the next meeting, and now they have Aaron Gordon to stick on him. So I just don't know where Dallas is going to get anything going other than Luka. who, it has a couple of tough defenders to deal with who are dealing with some rest advantage. They got KCP, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, whatever they want to throw at him. And I think Denver finally back home. The last time they hosted Dallas, they won by 31. So I think they can win and cover. I am a little bit concerned if you feel like you want to hedge maybe and tease this game, take the Lakers at +9, tease that up, because I don't think they're getting blown out in Cleveland. And I think Denver's winning this game and probably covering 4 points too.
Yeah, I think they probably are. I think it's a situation to just let it ride for them. Interestingly, the Mavs on the road, as you said, as bad as they are, everything for Denver and the way that you see them winning this game, it's also just as much about as good how good they are at home. They're 3-point, and really for Dallas, when you're talking about their opponent, start with their 3-point defense. How good is their 3-point defense? Denver's second best opponent 3-point percentage at home. Dallas, in their wins, they're shooting roughly 7 percentage points better from deep. As we know, on the road, they're shooting roughly 3 percentage points worse from deep. So everything about them is the three-pointer. The 3-point attempts are up there, as we know, for the Mavs, second most, as you mentioned, field goal attempts, percentage of their field goal attempts from 3. So for me, like, it's an easy example of a back-to-back and on the road for the Mavs. Like, I don't need the money line for Denver in that one. I'll go ahead and take the points, and maybe this game is over really before halftime because of the fact that they were so reliant on Luka, and you see how much he has to do. Granted, he got a nice bit of rest last night that they probably weren't expecting him to be able to have in a game that they thought they might have to grind out a bit more against the Suns after they just blew him out. So that does lead you to feel a little bit better about Luka having some stamina tonight, but are his guys going to make threes? And if you look at all the key players for him that he needs to be hitting these threes when they're when he's passing them the ball on the road, as they did last night, that's why he had 6 assists in that first half. Then you feel good about them. But when you've got guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Christian Wood, and I'll leave out THJ, Tim Hardaway Jr., because he's been playing well over the last 5, actually shooting better than 50% from 3. But outside of him, Reggie Bullock, under 30%, Christian Wood, under 30%, Dorian Finney-Smith, just over 30% when it comes to these 3-point percentages for them. So if those role players aren't hitting, we know that Denver is going to just swarm Luka. Obviously, it's a little bit better. KCP is questionable. I believe he's going to play, was what I last heard, but he is questionable. That's a pretty big wing defender, but Bruce Brown's going to be in there, and so is Aaron Gordon tonight, I believe, as well. So they're going to have plenty of guys available to guard the wings, to guard the big wings that they have, like Dorian Finney-Smith. Michael Porter Jr. out, but we are expecting him to be out. That's what he does. He's out right now. But regardless, that's why you have KCP on this squad as well, to be able to have another solid defender and versatile defender. So defending the 3, shooting the 3 for Denver, their offense has been incredible, and that defense for Dallas just goes down a bit. I know that the under feels a bit better for a Dallas team that is on that second leg of that back-to-back and probably tired, mostly because Luka has to do most of it for them. But at the same time, like, their defense is so bad when they're on the road and on these back-to-backs, the second leg of these, that with that Denver offense being what it is at home and how efficient it is at home, it's hard to stop from anywhere. I mean, they can beat you in a variety of ways. They are not relying on the three-pointer, and they're not even really they are passing the ball pretty well, is Denver, but there's still room for improvement in terms of the way that they're sharing it and those assists. It's either way, there's not going to be an answer for Joker, who has kind of reverted to passing a bit more rather than scoring, it seems, when he's playing Dallas. His points prop is only at 24.5 tonight for the Joker against Dallas. I don't know who you expect to stop him. It's really just a matter of is he going to be looking for his shot as much as we want him to in these situations. 11.5 rebounds for him is also even money on a Dallas team that's way worse at rebounding on the road and allowing a lot more offensive rebounds to their opponent, which is another pretty big moment, a pretty big stat in terms of second chance points for Denver. If you're going to allow Joker to get in there and get offensive rebounds, same thing for Aaron Gordon in their wins. At home, they have 20 fast break points and 17 second chance points a game, both which are good for top 3. So if you're not going to get back and you're not going to guard, or you're not going to guard the offensive rebounds, two things that Dallas has not been doing well on defense on the road, then Denver's just going to eat you alive if you're not hitting your threes, like I don't expect them to. So go ahead and feel good about Denver tonight, even with the 4.5. Just a really good spot for them against the Mavs.
Yeah, good spot, because they've just lost 2 on the road. They're back home where they have notable splits the last 2 seasons. You have to go back to February of 2021 for the Nuggets to have lost 3 straight games. And that includes when they didn't have Joker for a while and dealing with the same COVID issues that everybody else was. Yeah. And you look at that situation, it was coming back home to face the Bucks too. A little bit more of a reliable, impressive team that they lost 3 in a row there. So, I mean, maybe you don't have KCP. Maybe the 3-point shot is not falling because you don't have Michael Porter Jr. tonight. I think that's great, though, against the Dallas team that you know, if you want to play in a phone booth against them with Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon being the strong competitors that they are, and then kind of the Swiss Army knives, if you will, around Joker, then I think they'll control this game. Joker should control this game. You mentioned his rebound prop. He does have exactly 16 rebounds in 3 straight against Dallas, so definitely like that at plus money. And just like him to keep Denver's offense on pace here, and like Dallas to just have a letdown. As they once again, you know, they've ebbed and flowed all season. They're a 500 team, showing those spikes. They beat the Warriors at home, then they go ahead and they lose in Detroit in overtime the next night. And here we are again. They beat Phoenix, big emotional win, and now they go to Denver and probably could either lay an egg or just come up short.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think laying an egg feels right. And either way, I mean, Denver's going to be bringing it to them. I know Joker's excited to play them after missing those 2 games in a row, even though they did win one of them. So we've said this about Dallas. They can beat anybody. They can lose to anybody. They're showing that this season. They just beat the best team in the West a few games after getting beat by the worst team in the league in Detroit, between them and San Antonio anyway. So either way, like, this is a situation where if you're going to say they've let down in these against bad teams, they're not playing a bad team, and they're playing a good team with something to win, as you mentioned, after losing a few games in a row. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. We are coming back to you guys each and every weekday of this regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.